This is the Experience Share podcast.
Where I, Mark the Joe,
And I, Rowan the Pro.
share our differing experiences in the Pokemon TCG and competitive circuit.
Whether you're playing for fun or you're trying to reach the top, we hope our Experience Share helps you level up.
If no one's listening, we'd be talking about it anyway.
So if you are listening, then make sure to use what you learn to beat those that aren't.
All right, technically it's episode 1.5. We wanted to make sure that, if you're tuning in, you maybe want to get to know us. Like, why are you listening to us? Who's this guy? Like, there's world champion and this guy with him. So we wanted to take some time for you guys to get to know us, know what we're all about and why we're trying to help people get better with Pokemon. And then hopefully, when you're watching the podcast now, you feel that they're your friends. Yeah. All right, so Rowan, this is totally normal question for everyone, just for people watching. So we're gonna go through some questions that we're both gonna answer. Then we have some questions for each other that could be about anything. So these ones we both know. So I'm gonna get started with a real easy one. How did you get started in Pokemon?
Yep. I think my story is probably similar to anyone who started playing when they were 11 or 12 or so. And that's just on the playground at school. People were trading cards, and I started trading. And someone told me, "Oh, check out this comic book store. They run League every Saturday. People play games and trade cards." And it just really escalated from there. One second I was just trading, and then I started playing city championships. For anyone who remembers what those are, they're like League Cups, and the rest was history. What about you, Mark?
I actually knew about you before you ever knew about me, because that same comic book store, I was playing Magic the Gathering. So I've played every card game. So Yu-Gi-Oh, Magic the Gathering, Pokemon, One Piece. So I feel that I have a very good understanding of how games are. So I might not have the 10,000 hours Rowan has in Pokemon, but I have 10,000 hours in playing card games. So I was doing very well at Magic the Gathering, and then I got really bored during a format. And my sponsor at the time was like, "Hey, you should look into playing Pokemon." And then he gave me his PTCGO account, and I played 350 games with Evital Garb, and I was like, this deck is sick. And then I looked up, I went to my first League Cup where I lost to Rowan's dad, because, I still think it's because when you draw 7 for Sycamore and you can't draw anymore, you don't lose the game like you would in other games. And so I went 2-4 at that first cup, and then the next day I top 4'd my second cup. So that was, putting in the time, putting in the work, and I really, really started to like Pokemon. The biggest thing was I went from, I'm old, so Charizard Gen 1, Gen 2 is me. I started playing, I was like, what's a Greninja? What's a Yveltal?
Yeah.
What's a Slurpuff? Like, what are these Pokemon? Like, who are they? Like, give me a Charizard.
Yeah, it's even crazier now, so I hope you know all the cards now.
Yeah, I've learned there's a lot of new Pokemon that I really like that I would have never known, and I didn't play the games. But so I'm going to ask you about your top accomplishment, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be along the lines of I was like, "Hey, comic book store owner, Rich, like, that's so amazing. The little girl in the store won Pokemon Worlds."
Yep.
And that little girl's name was Rowan Stavenow, but Rowan wasn't. He just really had long hair. So if you want to tell us about that,
yeah, sure. The looking like a girl part or the world champion?
No,
part?
the world championship.
Oh, okay, the world championship part. Yeah. That was pretty cool. I was 11. Honestly, when I won, I didn't even realize like the magnitude of what I'd done. I kind of was just like, oh, I played a Pokemon tournament and I won. And then as I get older, I really realized like how big of an accomplishment that was. And I'm really proud of that accomplishment for sure. That's my top.
It was your first year of playing too, right?
That was, yeah. I think maybe 7 months or so after I started playing.
Yeah, we actually today watched back the clip of him winning Worlds, and he's like slapping his opponent's cards. And I'm like, how's this Halucha doing so much damage? And then when they interview him, they're like, "Hey, you just won Worlds." He's like,
"Yeah,
thanks."
Oh,
thanks. So, Rowan's pretty humble when that comes up to, and I would say that, as someone that won Worlds as a junior, and then someone that's won, that came very close to winning Worlds as a senior.
I made top 4.
Yeah, I think that's really good. And then, you're a master. You're trying to get to, you won a Masters regional in the modern era. For me, I think my top Pokemon accomplishment as a player would be a top 16 at an international, but it was this second or third year of NAIC. So after nationals, during the Zoroark format, I put a lot of time into Lycanroc. I beat a lot of very good players, and I kind of learned as it went through. And at that time, like that was a big thing, and it reminds me that any tournament you have a chance to kind of go deep and give yourself that opportunity to have that accomplishment. But in a non-personal level, I've had a lot of kids win internationals that I've coached. So that's a huge accomplishment, most recently with Prince Williams winning LAIC. And the biggest thing for me is every person that I work with or I coach is different in their own way, and they have their own way about playing Pokemon. So seeing them win on that level provides me a lot of joy, because I'm currently not at the point to reach those levels of 2 worlds top 4s or a win as Rowan here.
So, aside from Pokemon, what's the thing you're most proud of that you've accomplished in life?
I think it's pretty good. I don't know if it's my accomplishment or my partner's accomplishment, but in this day and age of social media and dating apps and Snapchat, I don't know what the kids use, but I've been in a relationship with the same partner. I've been in a relationship with Melissa for almost 13 years now, and I've been really lucky to have her like support me playing Pokemon, and just it's really hard for someone to support your dreams like that, especially coming back into the season. So I'm really proud of that, and also just the relationships that I've made with the game and with people in life in general makes me enjoy playing. With you, what do you think your outside of Pokemon accomplishment is?
Oh my gosh, I was gonna stay in Pokemon for this question because my World Championship is just my best accomplishment. But even beyond that, I think what I'm most proud of in my life is how I've been able to mature through Pokemon and really become someone who's very self-aware and socially aware through playing Pokemon.
Yeah, I think Pokemon's taught me. I mean, I work in like talent and HR, and I think for us, like becoming really inclusive, making sure that we're doing our best. I think when coming from Magic, there's a lot of times, and I know even in Pokemon, there's times that I've lost and I've been salty, but really trying to take a step back and making sure that we're always putting out a very positive and outgoing nature, especially when we have stores sponsoring us or etc., or even being on the Pokemon stream. Like, you want to make sure that you're very inclusive and you want everyone to be part of this community, because it's only going to pay dividends to have more people. I thought you were going to talk about Mount Fuji.
Mount Fuji, I guess. I don't know. I guess that is something to be proud of. I did climb Mount Fuji while I was in Japan for the World Championships. That was probably the most like physically demanding thing I've ever done. I don't know.
Okay.
I feel like I'm more proud of, I don't know, just who I've become through.
No, hey, I've seen you mature, because we tell the story all the time about the first time that we actually played together when you were a senior and we were in an 8-person challenge, and the whole time you were like, I'm going to destroy you with Mega Man, Mega Man, Mega Man, Mega Man. I was like, what is Mega Man?
And especially going from like when I was like yelling about Mega Man and I was 11 years old, and any loss I would cry and I'd be really upset, and I think like there's the most emotional maturity of being able to lose now and like be okay with that, I think is also big for me.
Yeah, so any of your juniors or seniors paying attention, if you cry when you lose, it's okay. You will get better.
Yeah.
I think that's just part of the game. Now, talk about physically and climbing the mountain and stuff. I know you get a lot of slack for some of your outfits on stream.
Yep.
I know that you wear a lot of like workout gear or no sleeves or anything. So I want to ask you if you're a hoodie or a t-shirt player, but really I want to ask you, like, what is this?
It's a trick question.
This look.
Yeah, I wear a lot of tank tops on stream. That's pretty much my one look. But the reason I actually wear tank tops is because I sweat a lot when I play. I'm not sure if it's like a nerves thing or like a stress or what it really is. It's some kind of mental something. But when I play, I actually sweat a lot. To the point where, like, if I wear a Pokemon shirt on the stream, at the end of the stream, if you pay attention, you can actually notice I've sweat stains, which is kind of gross, and actually something I've been very self-conscious about as I played in seniors. And I just find that the tank top is the most comfortable thing for me to play in. I'll play with a hoodie over that if it's getting cold. But yeah, that's my look. What
Now,
about you?
okay.
Oh, you
Now,
got more.
now I'm not a science mathematician. But I think I saw that when like chess players play and stuff, it's the exact same thing. That when you're playing in a mental sport or in a mental competition, your body, it's almost like you're exerting physical activity. So it's like your body's response to like sweat. So I think that's probably going. I think I like hoodies because sometimes I like to be warm when it's really cold. But I'm definitely like a hoodie and shorts person wherever I go. So it's really weird because I want the shorts to feel comfortable and have air on my legs, but then I want the hoodie to. If some convention centers are cold,
They are. They usually
like
are cold.
like Brazil, when we went, I was like, okay, t-shirt, shorts. This is great. It's November in Canada. We're going to Brazil. That convention center was cold.
In Brazil?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that was hot. That was hot. I was sweating in my tank top, man.
Oh, I was very cold. Yeah.
All right. The next question: what decks do you typically gravitate towards?
So I like decks that give me a lot of options on how to win the game. Doesn't have to be the most skillful deck. Like I'm not a big fan of control. Pokemon. I think the only time I've ever really played control was Waylord EX in Expanded, and I had to borrow French tropical beaches from people to play that deck. But I gravitate towards like the Zoarks, Tina's, YouTube, and Mew tag team.
Yeah,
Tag team.
yeah.
I was gonna say VMAX, but not. I wanted Dragapult VMAX to be good, but I like decks that kind of reward you for trying to figure out the game plan against whatever deck you're going to and give you the opportunity to beat almost any deck.
Yeah. I also like having a lot of options in my deck, but for me, even more important than having a lot of options is just being able to draw a lot of cards. So decks like Mew VMAX, Zoroark, GX back in the day, now it's Curlia, but I find that the more cards you can draw, the more options you have usually. So I guess it's sort of the same answer, but just thought of in a different way. So what are you most passionate about in the Pokemon trading card game?
So I think it talks about like coaching, and for me, like with coaching and growth, I think it's really about like growth and competing. Growing up, we didn't have much, so it was a lot of me and my brother Josh like being at home playing Yu-Gi-Oh cards against each other or playing video games against each other. We couldn't afford to do sports, and sports in Canada, like organized sports, is quite a bit of money. And if you're not playing organized sports, it's hard to get really good at sports to make the school teams. So it took me a while till I was older to make those school teams. But I've always liked cards, and even though we didn't have that much money, I actually had people take me under their wings and make sure we borrowed cards or would drive us to events or would lend us like top meta decks or taught us how to trade. That was really important in Yu-Gi-Oh because trading lets you get cards and build decks really quick. And I know that some people were really annoyed at my like second League Cup because I was like, someone trade me your like gold Archeops, like, and I was just very aggressive because I really wanted that, and I knew I wanted that for the expanded deck that I was building. Yeah. But the growth part is how I grow as a person, how I can help others grow, because it's like the Pokemon. It's just like what Pokemon is. Like you're growing your Pokemon to see them evolve and get better, and through them growing, you're growing as a trainer. So that's a big thing. And the competing part is like seeing where I've come from, seeing the seasons that I do well or the formats that I do well. And right now I feel that with us going back to 2 prizers, there's a huge opportunity for those players that have been playing for a long time and understand those 2 prizer only formats and have that experience to kind of get a step ahead. So that's something that I really enjoy about the game, is how very cyclical and how what you put in is what you get out.
Yeah, that's true. I think for me, my passion for Pokemon, there's 2 reasons. One, I love to compete. I love to win. I love knowing how much effort I put into the game and how much effort everyone else played into the game, and just the aspect of competition, really. And then the second part I love about the game is the community. My whole life I've had friends, but really in the Pokemon community is where I find I connect with people the best. You know, I've played organized sports. I've been very passionate about academics, and I found that like throughout high school, I kind of awkwardly fit between those two social groups. But Pokemon, I just always felt like I fit in perfectly, and that's the real reason I'm still playing the game.
You know what? I mean, this is not on our questions, but I'm going to ask it anyway. So, because there's definitely kids that are watching the play that are juniors and seniors. You were just talking about high school. So, when I was in elementary school, high school, and I was playing Yu-Gi-Oh, I did not care. I did not care what people thought about me. I'd be like, you know what? Cool. Like, you won a gold medal at the Pan Am Games as like a 16-year-old. Have you ever summoned 3 dark magicians in one turn? Like, we're not the same person. And I think I was really confident in that, you know, games would be something that was in the future, even though it was really looked down upon. And you going into high school, you know, way 10 years after I did, what would you say to kids, and how did you put up when it came to like talking about Pokemon, something that's generally considered nerdy or that's something that people would look down on? Like, how did you deal with that?
I think for me, you know, when people would call it nerdy or they'd call it weird, I would just kind of embrace it. I mean, my mom has always told me that she loves weird people. Weird people are interesting, and I agree with her. So, and I've always found a joy in learning about other people's hobbies that people might call weird. I think just being able to accept that if no one was weird, it'd be really boring, you know, like having a conversation where someone has no idea what a Pokemon regional is and telling them what it's like is actually really enjoyable for both sides, and just something new. That's the way I thought about it, really.
Yeah, I think one way to look at it is not everyone's like, I think weird. I understand in the context of it, but like everyone has something that they're passionate about. Like someone once told me when it comes to food, and it's so easy, like we all come from different cultures, and you might like one type of food that another culture, like you might never eat in your culture. So they're like, don't yick my yum.
Yeah.
Right? Don't like yuck, you know. So it's the exact same thing. Like be open to hearing about what other people, you might like it, you might not. You know, when you're playing the game, and you know, we've said it in sometimes, and people get lucky on you, or you get unlucky. Like, how do you prevent yourself from like being upset or salty or tilting off? Because I know in the past I've been prone to do it. Now I can usually recognize when it's about to happen, and sometimes it just takes over you when you're like, you need this 3-card combo, and I Iono you to 2 cards, and the third card you draw is like, sometimes Path Roxanne is just a lie.
Yeah, sometimes it is a lie. I mean, I think in those moments, there's 2 things I do, and one of them might sound kind of fake to other people, but I'm a highly logical person. So when I play in a Pokemon tournament, if I notice that I'm starting to tilt, I'll just remind myself that if I am tilting, I am going to play worse. And like in the moment I'm in the tournament, I just have to ignore it. I just have to forget what happened. Almost, I just like write it out of my brain, focus on my next game, and just acknowledge that tilting will make me play worse. And then I usually tilt afterwards.
Cool. For me, I just realized that, there is more to the game. You're going to go home. There's going to be another tournament. Like, sometimes it does really suck, but it's all about preventing you from being something that you're not, because the game is the confines within the game, and you want to make sure that you're competing. And then I think there's also something to be said about winner's tilt. Like, you don't want to.
Oh my God, winner's tilt is not real. There's not such a thing as a winner's tilt.
You don't want to just like win a game and then be tilted from winning. You kind of want to set yourself level. And I think people remember all the times they've gotten unlucky and never remember when they've gotten lucky.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think I'm pretty lucky. I remember a lot of the times that I got lucky against people, and I just remember that. So when I lose like the final of a League Cup, or if I finish top 4, I remember all the times in the tournament where I did get lucky just to get into that spot, and then it kind of helped me level set.
Yeah. So who are some of your role models, either in the Pokemon TCG or not?
So I would say that, one of the biggest role model shift that's happened since I've been in Pokemon has actually been Pokemon parents. And as I've coached kids, or as I've been around parents, like, I've learned a lot of things that how I want to be a parent. And it's the same thing as like, when your kids play a sport or whatnot, like you try to push. So I think I've always been very competitive in card games. I don't think I could teach my own kids to be that. I think I would expect too much of them. But one thing I've really seen is like parents that are out there taking their kids to this tournament and like seeing them, the kids know whether they go 0-2 or whether they win the tournament or whether they top 8, like their parents still gonna love them. I think that's something I've really learned, and just giving them that opportunity, because I didn't see that much because my parents weren't Pokemon parents, but that's something that I've really learned and I've really looked up to in the past few years, especially post COVID. I've been around a lot of Pokemon parents and learned a lot of things from them, and especially for me to be more mature there. And then it is 2024, so it was Mamba year, so I do take a lot from Kobe Bryant. Rest in peace, he's no longer with us. But the biggest thing for me is when I look at role models like that and I see what they've done or see how they think or see how they approach stuff, is this is another human being. You're a human being and they've lived a life. So being able to learn some stuff from them and bring that into your role model and push yourself to be a better person, I think that's really important. And how about you? Like, I know you're much younger than me, but what's kind of some of the role models and the impacts that they've had on you in your young life?
Yeah, I have some similarities. I watch a lot of basketball as well. Kobe Bryant, the Mamba mentality is something I love, and as well Michael Jordan. I think he was kind of crazy, and he was like crazy about what he loved, and that's why he was so good at it. So I look up to Michael Jordan as well, and then my parents are huge role models for me, both in the way they've been able to support me and the kindness they show in their lives, and additionally several pokey parents. I won't name them, but they know who they are, and they advise me on life, they advise me on Pokemon. Without them and my parents, I don't know where I'd be.
Yeah, I think in our podcast, our biggest thing is to share experiences into people out there that might have the same stuff. And I remember when you told me that you were going to take a semester off to go pursue like full-time Pokemon for a year and see what happens, right? Like school will always be there. And I remember in my head, I'm like, this is kind of crazy. So for those that don't know, I work in hiring people and helping people in their career and stuff. And I never really got to finish school. I used to say it was because of monetary, but I realized that I was more focused on working and gaining experience in work than going to school. But even now, as I hire people, I see how important for certain jobs school is and the stuff that you learn. And I remember being like, hey, like, Rowan, I don't know if this is like the full thing to do. And I've always been very honest for you. But at the same point, like, you only live once. And like when you're young, and especially in this world that we are now, you got to take every chance to like do and find something that you love, or to pursue something. Everything, will happen later. So it's really important to make sure that, as you're growing and as you're pursuing stuff in life, whether it's in Pokemon or something else, that you really enjoy what you do. So, and I know you're talking about Michael Jordan. I heard a crazy story about how he owned the Hornets. The Hornets made the playoffs, and the Hornets generally pretty bad team, and they lost the first game by like 20 points in the playoffs. And then Michael showed up to practice the next day and played on the second team to just be like, okay, like if I'm this old and I'm scoring, like, what are you guys doing? So if you could compare yourself to an athlete in the spectrum of Pokemon in context, like would it be Michael? Would it be someone else? I mean, you haven't won 6 championships. I don't think you can.
I can't be Michael Jordan yet. I think I would compare myself to the Michael Jordan mentality. I'm like Michael Jordan coming out of high school, I'm not there yet.
After he got cut from the varsity team, but he was on the freshman team.
Yeah. Or no, I guess I got cut. Yeah, that was seniors when I got cut from the team.
Yeah.
But I made a bit of a comeback. We'll see where it goes.
Well, you know what? It took him a while to win a championship. So there's always a changing of a card. For me, I think it would be not many. Like if you don't watch basketball, you wouldn't know. But there's a player named Steven Jackson. And he just like did things his own way. He could score 20 points per game no matter what team he would. He said something that was really important. He said he would rather make 50 million and have a championship than have no championships and make 100 million. And I think I agree with him in that mentality, because like winning is really and being at the pinnacle of the sport. And I just like that how he never changed to be someone else, and he always focused on being a team, because even if you're not the best player, there's a lot of team in Pokemon, even though it's a very individual sport. but everyone that's involved in a group has what they're very good at. So for me, it's like doing research, it's planning trips, and it's also like I'm not going to be the playtest person. I'm not going to be the one playtesting you like crazy, learn a matchup, but I'm someone that can watch there and take a look at the matchups and look at the spectrum, look at the data, and give information. So that's like a big thing. While you'll be the one that'd be like, okay, like let's evolve this deck. Let's see where we can change things and make this deck better, right?
Yeah.
So
who would be your personal 6 Pokemon team? I guess any generation?
yeah, any generation.
Okay.
So I think for me, it would be Gen 2 was like my favorite. I spent the most time playing Silver, so I think Ampharos, Tyranitar, Umbreon, Espeon, Dragonite,
Okay.
and like Ampharos.
Dude, you got. Wait, no, you already said Ampharos though.
Oh, I said Ampharos.
Yeah.
What's a newer Pokemon that I really Swampert.
Swampert.
I think that covers up a lot of types.
That does cover up a lot of weaknesses. You got 2 dark types on your team. That's a little redundant, but
Yeah,
but
but-
I'll allow it. I'll allow
Well,
you.
you
Some
know.
cool Pokemon.
Yeah.
For me, I should have thought about this because I'm gonna like make a team right now, and then we're gonna rewatch it and be like, no.
Yeah.
But Torterra for sure. That's like one of my favorite Pokemon. I'm gonna throw Staraptor on there. That's gonna be like my bird. Who else can I put on?
Wow, I
this
feel like they
team?
can really tell what generations we're from.
right,
Yeah.
they know. I'm gonna keep it going. Luxray, we're gonna add Luxray onto the team.
Yep.
Can I do multiple starters? Is this allowed?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh. Okay, I'm gonna add a Blaziken onto my team.
Okay.
Hydreigon from Black White. That was one of my top dogs.
Okay, big dog.
Yeah. And then we'll close it out with a Kyogre.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did like Kyogre more than Groudon.
Yeah,
I think that's okay. All right, now to the people watching, we're gonna ask each other questions that we prep for each other, and that we don't know about. So I'm gonna start here. I'm like, and we can go a little. I want you to go a little deeper on these and really talk about. So how is the game different on each division you played? So I've only ever played as a master, and how has the game been different for you for playing as a junior? And then playing as a senior, and then now playing as a master. So you've played all levels, and you've been playing from 11 to 19. That's 8 years. I've been playing since 2017, so it's about 5 years. So how's that? Like our experiences are really different there. So how would you put me into that?
Okay. So I can only speak like on my experience in these divisions. I think they've changed a little bit as coaching has become more popular and limitless and all these resources. But for me in juniors, it was really all about fun. I only played in juniors for 7 months or so. I was just learning the game, making some friendships, and spending some time with my brother and my dad. That's what it was really about for me.
Yep.
And then for seniors was like that was a grind, a lot of good players in seniors. People start taking it pretty seriously. I think juniors is more competitive now too. I think there's a decent amount of juniors.
Yeah, I think the money and the modern stuff has really changed it from when you played.
But then in that senior division, I practiced a lot, and I think that's what you need to do to be able to win. That's like those ages are where you can really spike and learn how to improve tremendously, and so that's what that division was really about for me. And then now I'm in Masters, and the first while in Masters for me was really about like proving that I do have what it takes to be a top master. And at this point, the game for me is really just about going, having fun, seeing the friends that I've made over the years, and competing.
What do you think in that same question too? When you were a senior, it was really kind of like yourself, Lucas Zing, Isaiah Bradner, and let's just throw in
Tanner Hurley,
Reagan
Retzlaff
during that time.
Yeah.
But at the
Christian
same point,
Moreno.
when you were going through that, you had Piper Lapine,
Yep.
Travis Beckwith,
Yep.
and then the person that won Secaucus with Arceus, Corviknight, or like
Liam Smith.
Liam Smith, maybe
I believe.
But
Liam Smith,
these were seniors that could not break through while you were the top of the senior class. But now, as we've gone to Piper's won 2 regionals. Travis has seen really success. The Liam person that you're talking about won a regional.
Yeah.
Landon Caitler
Yep.
has won a regional. So what do you think has kind of changed in that from they were not at the same, let's not say not at the same level, but maybe, you know, they're as your contending championship teams, they're just like contenders, your champions. Like, what do you think kind of separated that?
Yeah. So I know all those people kind of loosely, but we're not super close, so I can't really speak to how hard they were working. But what I think happened for those people is I think during COVID, they worked hard. You know, they played online, they played a lot of games, they played a lot of games against good players, and they saw massive results. I mean, I think it was just a question of time investment. I don't know if they weren't investing as much time before, or if they just needed that next level of time commitment. But I think that was really all it was about for them was working hard.
I think that's really important to the players watching. It's just you never know, you know, 1 year to the next year how you can kind of grow. I think one really good part is like our friend Tyler Annert. From him, he couldn't top 8 a League Cup to save his life. He was always on the bottom. This was even when you were pre or last year when Zhao Zhao was the top senior in the area, and he was very dominant. And then when you were, you know, going through your final 2 years, Tyler went from someone that was top 8ing cups to like winning cups to like top 4ing senior regionals to making day 2s of master regionals, and he's someone that, you know, thinks about the game a lot but has other focuses in life while we think about the game even more. So to players out there, there's a lot of opportunity for you to get better if you're just willing to put in the work and actually be passionate about what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, so one of my questions for you is, what is your ultimate Pokemon pet peeve?
Ultimate Pokemon pet. Okay. I think this is actually a thinker. And I think silence is golden. Ultimate Pokemon pet peeve. I hate losing to decks that everyone like that you just know like the people are gonna get on you. Like
Like when you lose to like a theme deck kind of thing, or
no, I think losing to a theme deck's like kind of funny, but like I think if I just kept losing to Cloth,
yeah,
like that would be a pretty pet peeve. Like I remember, or okay, you know what? Let's circle back. I hate when people don't read cards, because like even for me, like it's got to be a pet peeve when you're playing a game and you're trying to compete at the highest level. And like I was playing, and my opponent played down a Ditto, and I was like, oh great! Like they played down a Ditto in their Lost Box deck, and then I still feel upset because then they try to use Ditto, and I have to tap the card and be like, it's only on your first turn, right?
Oh my gosh.
Or when you have people that like make it to the finals and no one's guaranteed anything, and they're playing against attacking Hoopa, and then they decide like, I'm gonna jet punch you with Buzzwole GX, right? And this is someone you've been testing with for hours on end, and I am gonna call this person out, Damon Froud. Like we tested hours on end, we taught you how to play the deck, and you just did not pick up your opponent's Hoopa and read it that said this Pokemon cannot get damaged by Pokemon EXs and Pokemon GXs, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's probably a big Pokemon pet peeve. What's your big Pokemon pet peeve?
My ultimate Pokemon pet peeve. You know what? Honestly, this one I feel a little bad for this one, but it's when someone just lost a game and they're really upset, and they come up to me and they give me the whole speech of how they were so unlucky. That's got to be my pet peeve.
No, actually, no. You know what's worse is when they're telling you like all these things that went wrong, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I still won though."
Oh yeah, okay, that's even worse. The long sad story, and then they win, and it's like, man, why are you complaining?
What did we get from this? Okay,
Yeah.
When you went from winning worlds as a junior and going thanks, to being a senior, you had a pretty bad 2 years of your first 2 years of seniors. How did you deal with going from being this world champion that everyone's like hashtag play Pokemon, congrats Rowan, to being a senior and like not being even close? Because I mean, I think you're in a pretty high pedestal as a junior. You go to a senior, obviously there's some changes there, but I think you thought you would still be winning.
Yeah, no, I did. It didn't occur to me that other people were better than me. You know, in my head, I was the best, and in hindsight, I had a lot to improve on. I think for me, like it was hard. Obviously, you know, you think you're the best, and you get to seniors and you start losing. But I really just had to turn losing into motivation. You know, every time I lost a game, I would sit there, and if you see me at regionals, after big games that I lose, I'll just sit at the table and I'll look like really pensive. I don't know, I'll be staring off into the distance. And I just, after my games, when I lose, I want to recall them as quick as possible so I can remember as much as possible. And so I would just sit there and I would think, well, why did I just lose? You know, and you know, sometimes the answer was, oh, my opponent top deck boss, you know, and that is the answer. But oftentimes I could have done something better. And I think just I had a mindset of I need to be better. I need to be, I want to be at the highest level, and that's what it was about.
I had a game in that final against Neil at the League Cup final where I had a Confi on board. I had my Abyss Seeking ready. I had a Confi in hand, and then I kind of, as I love from your brother's term, I doorknobbed when I was searching my deck.
Yeah.
And I was nest balling, and I was supposed to get a Greninja so that I could draw more cards and see more cards. And I get another Confi, but I already had the second Confi in my hand, so I didn't really need this card because hypothetically it would only draw me one more card. I would need to play another switch card compared to a Greninja. Yeah. And I think that might have been able to change the game because the first two knockouts that Anil took were Confi with Cresselia. So even something so small that after losing, it's those small minuscule things. And I think this is something that really helps people because you can go from winning on your local level, like you're the best player in your store, to then going into a regional, and then you go 0-3, and you're like, what am I doing? Do I want to keep playing? Like a lot of people in your shoes might have stopped playing.
Yeah. And I think something some people also miss is in those games where your opponent does top deck boss at the end of the game, it's easy to say, oh, they top deck boss, that's why I lost. But oftentimes you can look back to that misplay on turn 2 where you should have gotten your Radiant Greninja, and then maybe the boss wouldn't have even won the game for them.
Yep.
Yeah.
Your question.
All right. No, I just asked you what your biggest...
Oh, that was... Okay. Oh, yeah.
Right? Oh, no.
Yeah, I did. I was asking how you're dealing with being bad. So...
No. Now I ask you. Because you just had... Sorry, we got lost. We got lost in the sauce. All right. Here's a question. It was a hot topic for a while. It's kind of died down. But if anything, what do you eat or drink during a Pokemon tournament?
I got lambasted for this on Twitter. You know what, it makes sense because I coach a lot of kids and it's really different, and obviously kids should have a lunch break. I hate the lunch break. Pokemon tournaments, I have a very bad record when it comes post lunch break, so it's like changing it to being like I need to do better after the lunch break. I personally like to drink as much water and electrolytes as possible and not try to eat that much gluten because I feel that it gives me like brain fog and that I slow down. But then some tournaments I'm really hungry and I need to eat. But I think for most tournaments, I personally I want to do so well in the tournament, and I want to like just play so that we can all have an amazing dinner after day one, and then I can eat as much as I want, which binge eating is also very bad.
Don't cancel us.
But no, I for me it's I just like water, and I just want to play, and I just want to play more Pokemon, and I don't want us to eat like there's no other tournament. Okay, sometimes you get like a 30 minutes at a One Piece tournament, but there's like no other tournaments that you get a lunch break.
Yeah, I don't eat either actually. I get stomach aches usually if I eat mid tournament. Especially like a big meal, like a burger or something.
Yeah.
No.
But maybe that's why at San Antonio, I was so hungry. I went and had a burger, and then the one Pokemon parent ordered me a burger, and then another Pokemon parent also ordered me a burger. So, and I was very fatigued that tournament, so I think it was all the Shake Shack. So, all right, for you, okay, so you've won a world championship. You top forward worlds as a senior. You have an international finals as a senior. You've won a Masters regional. You recently top forward a Masters regional. What's really left for you to accomplish? like, okay, obviously you could say, hey, I can win more. Like, you know, It's like, can you be a different animal in the same beast? You know, at the same point. But what is left for you to do?
Oh my God!
In the game.
Shout out the Kobe quote. Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I guess there's not much new. I like to play. I want to keep playing. As far as what's left to accomplish, I mean, seeing someone I coach win a major event, win a regionals, win a internationals, or whichever major, that would be really cool. That's probably the next thing on my Pokemon bucket list. Otherwise, yeah, as far as like,
Have you thought of trying to like win with a 59 card deck? Like not like cheating, like not cheating,
Like-
but like winning with like a How or a Nemona or a Hop. Like you have a supporter in your deck that says draw 3 cards.
you know, I have been thinking about messing around at League Cups and League Challenges, you know, for some YouTube videos. Can I win with a Fusion Mew battle deck? That's something I'm toying with. But I think like these regionals.
I think you should. I mean, obviously with the battle deck at a League Cup or League Challenge, but I think starting like, what is your opponent's face? Like, how serious would you have to be? Like, you just serious face. You just play Hop. You just like draw 3 cards. You just stare at them.
Oh my gosh, I don't know. Maybe at a League Cup, these regionals, there's just
Yeah.
you pay too much to go. I could never. But at League Cups, I might have to start
Okay.
messing around.
Okay.
I might have to. Okay. Oh, this is a good one actually. How do you prepare like mentally? I don't know if you have like a process for this or a ritual, but round 1 of a regional, how do you like get in the zone before you play round 1?
Okay, so this really depends on the year, but I like to listen to the same song over and over again. And last year, my top played song on my Spotify Wrap was the Formula One theme song. Because like in between rounds, I would just be walking to listen to that, and I didn't have really great results last year. And then at the start of this year, I've done really good to get like minimum points in every regional, and I've been listening to the High School Musical soundtrack. Yeah,
That gets you fired up.
I was actually. I mean, I'm gonna have to think of another question. I was gonna ask you like, what's your Serenity song? But most recently, I've been listening to some Kenny G.
Okay.
Kenny G on a flute, and I've also been listening to Unwritten by Natasha Bedingfield over and over. And I have to apologize. So I always have this thing where like I think when you win, like you don't want to BM or celebrate too much. But like after winning a cup that took 12 hours, I had been listening to Unwritten by Natasha Bedingfield. So as Charles and I were like packing up, I just took the Bluetooth off and then I started singing the song. And he's like, there's no way that you're singing this. And I didn't really think it was, it's a song that gets the people going. Especially I don't sleep much before regionals, and like that's something that I want to do more. Mm-hmm. But I think like listening and like surrounding yourself with your friends that are very positive, like as you go from round to round, like there's certain, as you were saying, that pet peeve of if someone is going to come and complain about how they lose, like I'd rather like sit alone and just focus on that.
Yeah. Yep.
How do you get ready?
I do something similar. I got my music going. Different approach on the music though.
Okay,
Usually I'm listening to something rap, like Eminem probably tops the list of artists I'm listening to. Usually each tournament, like I'll have like whatever song. Like usually when I listen to music, I like get really into like 5 songs and just kind of repeat them. So every regional it's different, but I'll just put my favorite rap songs on repeat. And that's about it.
Yeah, I've actually changed from listening to songs that hype me up to songs that keep me level. Oh. So that when I go in, I'm very calm. I don't know if you know the Michael Myers theme song.
Kind of.
This is something that I've been listening to, not before the finals, but before
is it copyright?
No, yeah. Before, and then I'm like, I'm the killer.
You are the killer. You're chasing everyone down.
I'm the one chasing. They have to come after me in these. Didn't work against you, top 4, but
no.
That's what I've been listening to. We've traveled to a lot of places. Mm-hmm. We've run away from things in a lot of places. I don't know. I was just trying to make a segue there. I mean, one of the favorite places I've traveled to is Game Time Collectibles. That's a sponsor of this podcast. Use Coach Mark for 5% off your orders there. It's gametime.ca. But of your favorite places you've gone to, what is your favorite place that you've visited for a tournament or for life, and why?
Okay. I think for me, not really at all because of the Pokemon part, just because it was a beautiful place. But I went to Australia with my friend Lucas in seniors. Now, this was, oh my gosh, I don't even know how long ago this was.
Pre-pandemic.
Yeah, well, for sure pre-pandemic. But, and it was really nice. It was one of my first trips, really without my parents. It was just me and Lucas and his dad. And we went scuba diving and saw some beaches and went to a zoo. And that's just like a core memory for me, an amazing trip, and an amazing place. That's number one in my heart, Australia.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah. What about you?
For me, it would be Italy before we went to Pokemon Worlds. We're such in a rush with everything we do in our life that when I went to Italy and we could take a nap in the middle of the day and nothing was happening, and then we would be out, like we would go to dinner. We'd pick a place to go dinner, and then we would walk. Like, how many places did we go to dinner that we just walked for like an hour to dinner? Yeah. Imagine being in Toronto, being like, we're going to dinner, we got to walk an hour to dinner. You'd be like, absolutely not, you know?
Call an Uber.
And then not only did we walk an hour to dinner, then we would have to stand in a line, okay? And world champion, Henry Brand says there's not many things in life worth waiting in a line for, okay? But in Italy, so many of our dinner places, we waited in a line and we were forced to talk to each other and then to the other people in the line. And then we sat down and we sat without our phones and we ate and like actually ate and talked to each other. And then we would go walk around till 2 a.m. and it felt safe. So to me, like, as someone that there's so much going on, like that's one of my favorite places because I felt like I was actually like living.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was gonna ask you what is your Serenity song, but I mean we already talked about songs and preparing for Pokemon tournaments. So I think I would ask you, and this is good for our podcast, so that you know, like this is so genuine. Like we're not just editing out these places where we go through.
I have more questions. Do you want me to ask you
yeah,
first?
you can ask me. Yeah, you can ask me a question.
All right. So I know you coach a lot of kids in the junior division, in the seniors as well?
Juniors, seniors, yeah.
As well. Okay, what's a moment that you were really proud of one of your students? Maybe they overcame something, or they beat a bad matchup or something.
Yeah, so I would say, so I had a lot of, top juniors, and there's certain expectation for those juniors to go through them. But last year, we had 3 juniors. I had 5 juniors in NAAC, and 3 of them finished second, and then like 20 and like 21st. They were back to back. But one of the juniors that I was coaching, he was very like lackadaisical. He loves fun, and I think there's a lot when it comes to like pushing your kids and like seeing how much they wanted. And I knew two of the other kids, like they really wanted it bad. They really, really wanted to win. Mm-hmm. And one of them, the one that like finished 20th, like we didn't realize he had a win in at the end, and he lost kind of like in time. And yeah, it sucks seeing kids like crying. Mm-hmm. But like I was just so proud that he showed some emotion at the end, because then I knew that he really wanted it and he wants to do well. And I think when it comes to coaching children, seeing how much they want and seeing that they want to do well is one of the biggest things, because I can work with that. Like I can work, like if they internally can see that they want to win, so not win so bad, but they want to accomplish it for themselves, I think there's nothing more powerful than that. And then same thing, like Prince, when he won LAIC, like obviously a huge moment, so proud after him coming second at NAIC. But at Worlds, this is the number 2 junior in the world. Mm-hmm. And he finished like 78th at Worlds. Yeah. And this is one of the strongest kids I know. And I remember him crying at one point, and just it wasn't crying because he was just holding back tears because you expect so much of yourself. But like his parentals are just so strong, and like we didn't blame it on anyone. We might have made some mistakes. We should have let him keep the cards that he wanted. because there's certain cards that he wants to play that he puts his own spin on his deck. So that might have been an issue. But let me tell you, those tables in Japan were small. They were smaller than regular tables. Yeah, and they didn't have Gatorade. They had Pocari Sweat. And
Pocari Sweat was fire.
The Pocari Sweat is a con.
It's a con.
It's a con. So the electrolytes aren't great there. So I'm off that now. Okay, for you, I got a question.
All right.
How is it playing Pokemon and like enjoying that you don't have to buy all the cards? That people will always.
It's so nice. I mean, it tracking down, not even the money part, but the tracking down of cards sometimes can just be infuriating. Like if you're making a deck, you got to buy your Charizards from one vendor and your Pidgeots from another vendor and all this, and then you got to get it delivered. You got to wait for it all, and yeah, it's so nice. Just
I can so hit nice. Hey, Mark, you bought Deoxys V and Deoxys V Stars.
Let's go. I don't have to track down a Deoxys V Stars. So
I feel like there's really a lot of people like you out there. There's a lot of people like me that have to hand out the cards. So,
all right. Then my last question for you is: other than the Pokemon TCG, what is your favorite trading card game?
Okay,
I know you've played a lot of them.
I mean, you've played Magic.
Yeah.
So I did think that One Piece was like the most mechanically great card game I've ever played in a long time. And then they power crept it really quick. And I mean, you played One Piece regionals with me. You know, we had like some 6-3s, like we were very close. But for me, like Magic's the greatest game of all time. Yeah. Even though Magic isn't a good spot, like you can't take a stack of Pokemon commons and start playing a game.
I do love the draft aspect.
Yeah, not even, but even like if there's just a random stack of bulk cards and it's two people sitting, you can play a game of Magic and then like go through it, which Pokemon doesn't have. But I will say, like, the local Pokemon community is probably one of the best communities in a card game I've ever played. There's a lot more good people than like, worse people. Whereas in Magic, everyone is all from themselves. People don't really like to share knowledge or help people get better because it's all about me in Magic. So I think that's a very tough aspect. So I really want to commend the Pokemon community that. And I also think that no matter what card game that you're in, there is going to be discourse and people will always find something to complain about. Like, I think that's one thing that we both aren't like. Obviously, it gives us talking points and things to talk about just in between ourselves. But yeah, like there's always discourse. Yeah. So that's something that I wish we had less of as well.
Yeah, I mean that even goes beyond these card games, though. That's just the world right now, it seems. Yeah. But that's too political. We're a Pokemon podcast.
Yeah, this is the Experience Share, a Pokemon TCG podcast. So, look, thank you for listening, getting to know us. We really want to get to know you guys. So if there's any of these questions that you saw that you wanna answer in the comments or whatnot, or if you ever see us at a regional and want to ask us what we're listening to,
what's the jam of the day, come up, say hi. Don't be shy. We're friendly people and we love to get to know you guys.
So thank you for tuning in.